All the efforts from every member of the Release the Snyder Cut community, Release the Ayer Cut community, Restore the Snyderverse community, all the efforts of those genuine fans have been destroyed by a bunch of con artists in the matter of weeks. And I'm very, very angry about this because I'm a member of these genuine fans. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Monday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily, the show that talks DC, talks entertainment, and tells you how I see it. So, a huge publication has done a proper article about the motion comic Snyder Justice League 2 story. Now, the whole idea was to continue Zack's story from Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut onto a motion comic. In practice, it sounded like a really, really good idea. In reality, these were a bunch of Arthur Dailies and Dale Boys trying to rip you off, disguising themselves as charitable people being kind. But isn't this the language they always set out? People talking about compassion shouldn't be trusted, because when they talk about compassion, this is what they all do, don't they? Compassion, kindness. These are the people who never practice compassion and kindness. So, let's give this article from Screen Rant and Nico Marone a read. Justice League 2 motion comic fan project caught tracing art from other artists. A fan-made motion comic based on Zack Snyder's original plans for the Justice League 2 has been accused of tracing art from DC Comics artists. This is one of the worst sins you can commit towards a comic book artist. By the way, ask any comic book artist. A fan project aiming to create a motion comic based on Zack Snyder's original plans for Justice League 2 has been caught tracing artwork from other comic artists. Zack Snyder and his wife Deborah left the original Justice League in 2017 after fighting a losing battle with Warner Brothers, combined with the trauma of losing their daughter that same year. Warner Brothers called in former The Avengers helmsman Joss Whedon to finish and rework the film into something far lighter in tone, resulting in a less than favourable end product. Snyder's original vision for Justice League was recently brought to life as a 4-hour behemoth on HBO Max after a huge fan-led campaign. Restore the Snyder Cut. Release the Snyder Cut. Restore the Snyderverse is what we're doing now. Release the Snyder Cut is what we were doing then. Get it right? Anyway, that actually took me a bit out of this article. Anyway, since the release of the Snyder Cut to much fanfare earlier this year, a great deal of information has come out about regarding Snyder's plans for 2 Justice League sequels. As those 2 films won't be happening, a Justice League fan project led by like cast aims to create a motion comic detailing what would have happened in the films, titled The Dreamscapes of Justice League. A motion comic. A project will adapt the storyboards created by Snyder, Jim Lee and Jeff Johns, and even has Darkseid himself, Ray Porter, serving as the narrator. The project itself is not for profit and will instead raise funds to support the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in honour of Snyder's daughter Autumn. And if you believe that, you'll believe anything. Since the project's announcement last month, some of the artwork has been shared online to further promote the comic. However, numerous Twitter users have highlighted that much of the art bears more than a passing resemblance to work produced by other artists for official DC Comics, including Jim Lee, Rafa Sandoval, Jason Fabok, and Ivan Reis. While tracing is relatively common practice within comics production, it's often used for purposes of reference, where areas like cast appear to be actively copying the artwork for their own project. Naturally, this has not sat well with many fans, with one user, Walt, writing, "I'm all for this fan-made comic, but not if it's tracing and stealing over other people's artwork." Likecast have since responded to the accusations in a statement on their own Twitter account, writing, "I'm actually blocked from them, and I've been blocked from Likecast for quite a while. I have got a lot to say about them and the Culture Nerd. We've seen a few concerns read JLM motion comic art, Some of our art is inspired by the drawings of Jim Lee, Jason Fabok and Ivan Reis. Most of the drawings you'll see on this project will 100% be newly created original art, and we're very excited for you all to see. You've only seen 1%. Inspired, blag and double talk. In other words, they're copying it. You have traced it. Inspired. My back foot, my foot, whatever. You can check out tweets comparing the various pieces of art as well as Lightcast response below. So, I have a picture of Wonder Woman here. Walt says, I'm all for this fan-made comic, but not if it's tracing and stealing other people's artwork. Here's the Culture Nerd. I can see it. Themyscira, Justice League, Motion Comics. So you see, they're involved in this as well. It is Lightcast and the Culture Nerd. We will talk about them in a minute. By the way, I'd recognise the Rafa Sandoval John Stewart pose anywhere. It's very listen, he's got a comparison here. I don't want to show you this for copyright reasons, but it pretty much is, it's Rafa's artwork. They've literally traced Rafa's artwork. It's disgusting. There's no originality here. You know, why didn't you just draw Wayne T. Carr? It doesn't make fucking sense. Ishan Sangha. I was looking through some old photos and looked, similar. Yep. For the doubters. Yeah, it's... And this is Lightcast. We've seen a few concerns read JL Motion Comic Art. Some of our art is inspired by the drawings. I'm just reading what I've already read. Of Jim Lee, Jason Fabok and Ivan Reis. Most of the drawings you'll see on this project will 100% be newly created original art, and we're very excited for you to see it. You've only seen 1%. 1% of you copying and tracing other people's work. The tracing of artwork by other artists has sparked a great deal of debate online, with some arguing that because Dreamscapes is a charitable project, allegedly, and Lightcast won't be profiting from the comic, allegedly, then the images should be considered fair use. Nope. No. Let me tell you this. Did you ask those artists, DC Comics and Warner Brothers, permission to trace those pictures? No, you fucking didn't. However, others have pointed out, regardless of whether or not the company will be profiting from them, not citing or even tagging the original artist remains highly unethical and equivalent to stealing, which is hard to deny. Art theft is a significant issue for artists online, both in and outside of the comics industry. So it's disheartening to see a company actively participating in the practice, even if its intentions are good, allegedly, that's what I'm saying. Moreover, attempting to claim that the panels are merely inspired by the works of the Fabok, Reis, Lee and Sandoval feels like an incredibly weak excuse, exactly. Especially when the two images are compared side by side, as many Twitter users have done. One even created a time-lapse with two images of Superman placed on top of one another to especially damning results. Two doesn't aid matters. For many fans, this will be enough to make them turn their backs on the project, regardless of its charitable intentions, which is ultimately a shame for the charity it's intended to support. That said, Lightcast tracing of artwork and attempting to pass it off as their own is highly concerning and shouldn't be allowed to go unquestioned. Hopefully, if their Justice League 2 motion comic is to go ahead, then they will at least credit the artists they claim inspired the project. We will have to see if there is any further response from the original artists from DC themselves. But listen, a lot of these artists won't even like Zack Snyder's movies anyway. Some of them will, some of them won't. Listen, Warner Brothers could absolutely destroy our fandom and our movement and these people for what they've done. I asked a question yesterday, a simple question. Why didn't you draw Henry Cavill? Why didn't you draw Gal Gadot? Why are you drawing? Why are you copying this artwork, this beautiful artwork, when they look nothing like the actors in Zack's universe? Why not just draw Henry and Gal? But let me ask you a question about this motion comic. How was this ever going to see the light of day when Warner Brothers own the IP? They would have to get permission. For me, they didn't ask permission to trace the drawings. They could have easily done, by the way, they could have easily done this. This is what's so dubious about this. They could have tagged or written or emailed or whatever Every artist has at least an email address. Hey, Jason, Jim Lee, we'd like to trace your artwork for this charity event we're doing. Now, I'm sure 9 out of 10 of these artists would have said yes. I'm convinced Jim would have said yes. The problem is the studio might have said no. We'll never know. For me, this motion comic is done. But this goes deeper. Will Rowling, a very passionate Zack Snyder fan, was warning against this from the very beginning. And you know what I thought, honestly? Oh, it's Will again, you know. And, you know, because Will does expose a lot of people on social media, and most of the time he's right. But he's sacrificed a lot to do these things. He's been trolled, he's been bullied. And he started talking about this weeks ago, and I didn't believe him, and I apologised to Will. Will was right. This is a big problem. First of all, what they've done is broken the law. This is fraudulent. This is fraud. And then we must ask questions of their charitable kind of, they're doing this for charity. Now let's talk about Lightcast and the Culture Nerd. Now I don't know about you if you know of them. As soon as Zack Snyder's Justice League was greenlit to be released on HBO Max, previously this year, previous to the announcement of Zack Snyder's Justice League being greenlit, I had never seen a Lightcast video or a Lightcast Twitter post. Did you? Before, and this is very important, before Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut was greenlit, I'd never heard of the Culture Nerd. From the moment this film was greenlit, they were posting, doing videos all over the place. They seem to be a package, which is interesting to me. Although officially, they're not a package, right? They're separate entities. They have separate content. I'm not sure if the Culture Nerd has got a YouTube channel, but I know that Lightcast has, and it's become very, very successful. Now, I didn't know originally that Lightcast was behind this motion comic book, because if I did, I wouldn't have done a video celebrating that they could help restore the Snyderverse, because I've had my suspicions about them for some time. As I say, we'd never heard of them. They weren't public when we were fighting to release the Snyder Cut. Where were they? Where were they? These people came from nowhere. Nowhere. And I'll be honest, their videos were really good at first. They were telling us this means we could get everything from Zack Snyder could be on HBO Max. They were only saying what I was saying. They were good. They seemed like good eggs. But they came from nowhere. We have to start understanding something. If you want to give to suicide prevention, go to the source. You don't need Zack Snyder. You don't need him to set you up a charity. You don't need to be giving your money to strangers from the internet. You can't trust me and I can't trust you. You know why? Because we don't fucking know each other. We can converse. We can chat. We can have an online relationship, and we can be dudes and bros and sis and whatever else. But at the end of the day, we don't know each other. We should not be giving each other money. That's my opinion. And you don't know the guys from the Culture Nerd. They're not your friends. They, as I say, they have come from absolutely fucking nowhere. And you're giving them your money in the name of Restore the Snyderverse. I'm sorry. This seems so fraudulent, so dishonest. And I ask again, if they just wanted to trace some pictures, why didn't they ask the permission of the artists? Or even better, and maybe I'm spitballing here, but I'll repeat what I said earlier. Why not just draw accurate drawings of Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa? Why are you copying other artists whose drawings have no inspiration from Zack Snyder's Justice League universe? It makes no sense. So for me, the whole thing was a rip-off and a con from the very beginning. This has destroyed all our hard work we did to fight for the Snyder Cut. When we fought for the Snyder Cut in that November of 2019, people who didn't respect us before started to respect us. We had a reputation. When it was greenlit, it was celebrations. Everyone come together. It was a happy time. But of course, people always want more. Of course, we wanted the Snyderverse restored. But justice was done to what they did to Zack's movie by greenlighting the Snyder Cut. That should have been it. just fighting to restore the Snyderverse in a peaceful way. But Zack Snyder and Ray Fisher didn't help this situation with the toxic way they were going after Walter Hamada and Warner Brothers. That should have been a celebration. We shouldn't have had to know what happened between these two parties, because you're both as bad as each other. There wasn't a coming together. There weren't peace talks. And then even when he was developing his cut to release earlier this year, they were still arguing. They told him not to shoot anything. He shot stuff. You know, I can't solve people's problems. I can't solve the fact that Zack Snyder is a spoilt brat who wants everything his own way, as much as I love his movies and I'm sure he's a great guy. A spoilt brat. The studio owns the IP. They've given you 70 fucking million to finish your movie, and you're disrespecting them, getting Ray Fisher to expose stuff and, you know, attack Walter Hamada. What was the point of the attacks of Walter Hamada? Because Walter Hamada wasn't there during the Justice League reshoots. Why not just attack the studio as a whole? You know why they were going for Walter Hamada? Because Zack wants his job. And he was hoping that you and me and the rest of the DC fans out there, not just his fans, would back that. And he crashed and burned because people saw through it. We understand now what's going on. That Zack Snyder may be a great bloke, I don't know him. Zack Snyder is a great filmmaker and I love his 3 DC movies, but he's a spoiled child who wants to get his own way. And just before Flashpoint, when Warner Brothers released their side of the story to explain about the history of the DCEU, which is what they're planning to do, you are going to hear exactly what I've been saying. I used to be like you. Zack's an innocent victim. Stop saying things about Zack. He's not a victim. He cannot work in the huge studio system because he wants his own way. And not even James Gunn always gets his own way, admitting that when he was working with Kevin Feige. And he was happy to take some notes, but not all of them. That's how it works. Compromise isn't a horrible word. He's even said before that he won't compromise at all. So how can you work with other people if there's no compromise? Your absolute vision. Listen, I love Snyder's DC films. I'm looking forward to his Rebel Moon or whatever it's called, his Star Wars ripoff. Looking forward to it. Could be awesome. He knows how to make movies and make them look amazing. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about him like he's some innocent victim. Instead of helping us to restore the Snyderverse, he went after Warner Brothers just after they gave him 70 million and greenlit the Snyder Cut. That was the wrong move. And since then, we've had a lot of his fans being toxic and negative and spreading false propaganda about these upcoming films, about these creatives, and attacking individual people. And now, the final blow to the good members of this fan base is these fucking con artists, Lightcast and the Culture Nerd, trying to rip us off under the guise of charity. Are you going to defend them to me, are you? No. Don't bother. Don't bother. Because this is my stance about Zack Snyder, Ray Fisher, and all of the fans. I am so happy and proud of all the new characters and people I've met via fighting for Snyder's vision. I will always want to see the restoration of Snyder's movies. But I'm out. I will not badmouth other creators. I am looking forward to the multiverse strategy. I cannot wait for James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and that's where I am right now. This has upset me. It's broken my heart. You talking about charity and kindness. And isn't it funny? Liz Wonder's a funny character because she really thinks her shit doesn't stink. And I think it's really sad with Liz Wonder. She was backing this and now she's backed out of it and said she can't back it anymore. Surprise, surprise. I wonder what she knew about this. But the point is, these people all start to crumble and fall when the thing is crumbling around them. The Screen Rant article exposed all of them. Liz Wonder was a great girl who looks like Gal Gadot. She was dressing up as Wonder Woman, wasn't very famous, but now Liz Wonder has mixed with the glitz and glamour. And the fame has gone to her head, and she's lecturing the whole of Twitter about kindness and compassion. You wouldn't know kindness and compassion if it hit you in the face and said, "Hi, it's me." You're always lecturing people, and at the end of the day, it's all gone to your head. I think, Liz, you should remember what you once was. We've all had a little bit of success, Liz. Now, I may not be very famous in the annals of European Twitter and all the other socials, but I'm quite a big deal out here. When I go clubbing, people will buy me a drink because they saw me in a reality show. So I'm not very famous around the world, but I'm quite big out here. But I don't have a big social media following. I admit that. So I know about popularity and having a little bit of success. But the differences between you and me, Liz, is that it didn't go to my head. I don't think I'm something special. I like myself. I like the reflection I see. Nobody else may like it, but I do. But I never abuse people because I had a little bit of fame, because I've parted with famous people, because I'm friends with some famous people. Never, 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 never. I'm friends with those people because I like them, not because they're famous. It's just that I was mixing with in those circles. And now I'm developing the first English-speaking dramas here on Cyprus TV. Again, I don't think my shit doesn't stink. I'm just doing something I dreamt about when I was a 10-year-old boy first watching Superman the movie. But people like you, Liz, upset me, because you really do think because you look like Gal Gadot and you dress up as Wonder Woman and you've got loads of followers and loads of likes that you're something special. Don't talk to me about peace and compassion and kindness. That's all you people talk about. You talk about compassion and kindness, but you never practice what you preach. What's happened with Lightcast and the Culture Nerd and the Motion Comic is disgusting. It's destroyed the goodwill this movement has had. You've destroyed our hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. You have destroyed the hashtag of Release the Haircut. So much damage has been done now. And like, you know, release the Batfleck movie, make the Batfleck movie. All these things have been damaged because of you, Lightcast, because you're opportunists, because you don't care about these fans. You do not care about movies. You are frauds. And what you did was fraudulent. You have betrayed every fan, every filmmaker, every genuine artist that ever lived. And why? Why did you do it? Because you wasn't genuine about doing an awesome motion comic about Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. No, it's a grand idea, but if you were genuine, you would have either asked permission from those artists to trace those glorious pictures, or you would have paid someone talented, considering it's for charity, so why not spend some money, right? But you didn't want to do that. So let me guess. There's probably 2 or 3 or 4 of you. None of you are artistic. You can't draw. I can't draw. I can only do matchstick men, right? So you thought, fuck, what are we going to do? Let's trace the pictures. All you had to do was ask their permission. It's for charity. They're not going to say no. And if they do, they do. Find an artist. Pay an artist to paint Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill and all the other actors that are part of Zack's Justice League universe. What were you playing at? What were you playing at? An utter disgrace and fabrication and a destruction of a movement once upon a time that was positive and not toxic. But this is a splintered movement that's full of toxicity, and this for me is the last straw. Nobody should be giving strangers money for suicide prevention. Give it to the charities. Give it to the charities. If you know someone suffering, if you know someone suffering with mental illness and they don't have much money, knock on their fucking door and write them a fucking check or transfer money to their account. Do not listen to these Pied Pipers. It's time. By all means, hashtag the support for David Ayer, Zack Snyder. Make the Batfleck movie. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I can't tell you what to do. I'm advising you. Stop giving strangers your money. I can say right now, I'm collecting for charity, right? For the people in Cyprus who lost their homes in the forest fires recently. I could say that, couldn't I? And then I could say, write me out a nice check for 100 grand. What should I make it out to, Mick? C-A-S-H. Cash. Do you see what I mean? It's a con. It's a con. I see all these internet charities all the time. Famous people, elite people, people with a little bit of following asking you for your fucking money. Stop it. Stop giving famous people and successful people who look great, who you aspire to be like, money. They do not care about you. Stop subscribing to OnlyFans. Those people do not care about you. If you're a bit of a perv and you need to get it off, enjoy their marketing. It's good enough. That's what the screenshot function's about. Stop giving these arseholes money because they're all laughing behind your backs. There's an element of the internet that talks about charity all the time. There are proper, respectable charities out there. Write them a check or put some money into their accounts. Or if you know someone who's suffering, not just someone who's suffering with mental illness, anyone who hasn't got any money, anyone, directly give them the money. That's how I give to people, directly. I find people who need my money, I investigate if they're genuine, and I help them. I give to proper charities directly. I don't fall for the tune on the flute of a Pied Piper. What's happened with the motion comic, as I said, has destroyed everything we did with Release the Snyder Cut. And it's taken the Restore the Snyder Cut, Release the Ayer Cut, and make the Batfleck movie movements backwards by 6 fucking months. Now, all the good people will have to rebuild the goodwill because no one's going to trust anyone anymore. So this is what I'm suggesting, right here and right now. Stop fucking insulting Warner Brothers. Stop insulting their DC directors. Stop insulting Ann Sarnoff. We need to start again, and this fraud with this motion comic is a great place to start. Stop insulting the studio. It's not fucking working. Stop screaming about boycotts. It's not working. No one's listening to you apart from the people in your own bubble. No one is going to boycott James's movie. No one's going to boycott Matt's movie. No one's going to boycott James's Aquaman 2 movie. No one's going to boycott the Flash movie. People are excited. So people in your bubble, a few hundred or a few thousand people in your bubble may be boycotting, but it's not enough for you to do any damage. We need someone. And I don't even think RT Snyder Cut are doing a good job anymore. They were when we were fighting to release the Snyder Cut, but they've gone, I don't know, they've gone rogue as well. We need someone who's trustworthy, who is able to start a good relationship with Warner Brothers and say to them, and write them an email. They won't respond to you, but write them an email so they understand that we're coming from a good place. Hi WB, just want to say we plan on continuing to fight to restore the Snyderverse, make the Batfleck movie and release the Ayer Cut. But what we want is a good relationship with you. We understand that there's very little chance of this happening, but we want to we just want to prove to you that you're wrong about Zack's and David's and Ben Affleck's work, and it really could make you a lot of money. So we just want to fight in a positive way, and we want a good relationship with you. That's how you start. You don't start by calling Geoff Johns a snake, because Geoff Johns isn't a snake. He's a passionate comic book fucking writer. Do you understand? He has done some of the best Green Lantern stories. He created Stargirl, or one of the versions of Stargirl, based on his dead sister. Some of you have even said stuff about his sister. You talk about people talking about Zack's daughter. You lot are just as bad. So stop calling Geoff Johns a snake. It's not going to win you anything. It's not going to work. You're stupid. You're thick. I see you all the time on Twitter. WB. It's not going to work. This is not how you win friends and influence people. This disgusting thing with the motion comic book has to teach us something. I want to see more Snyderverse, but you're not going to get it like this. Do you really think that's how you got the Snyder Cut release? Because you didn't. They saw a bunch of passionate fans celebrating what they loved, and they said, right, we can launch our HBO Max streaming service from that. It's time to change. So we need a good relationship with the studio, even though they're refusing to release the stuff we want. That's fine. It's up to us to persuade them in a positive way. But this bullshit, and I'm muting these negative people all the time. People I used to respect, because you're too dumb. You don't know how to fight for things in a positive, good way. I want to fight for the restoration of the Snyderverse and the haircut and make the Batfleck movie. But I still want to celebrate and enjoy future DC live action and animation and comic books. Is that all right with you? Do I have your permission? We have to change. We have to change. And if you're willing to change, I will stand by your side. And I will promote you on my videos. Even though I don't get a lot of views, I know before you throw that at me. But that doesn't matter. People know me. I know people. You don't have to be successful on the internet to be connected. I know you people don't understand that. So we start, again, fighting for these things in a positive way with a good relationship with the studio. This can work. Join me. And I promise you, even if we don't get what we want, we'll have a fucking good time doing it. Because this, and what happened to the motion comic, is the last fucking straw for me. Well, I was about to change the subject and talk about Jason Momoa's blonde hair, but Lightcast have just made an announcement. It comes with a heavy heart that we have to announce that Dreamscapes of Justice League, a motion comic, has been officially cancelled. As fans of the Snyderverse, you're not fans of the Snyderverse, we and a group of fellow fans took it upon ourselves to see a continuation of the cancelled story of Justice League come to life, with the involvement of actors, artists, musicians and many others. We all agreed to give our talents and time for free to achieve this goal and support the AFSP charity at the same time. What we did not foresee was the general uneasiness about the project from the general public. Some rare targeted harassment towards members of the team that are playing the victims. The countless legalities we've dealt with, and ultimately our own mistakes on certain parts of the project. We certainly apologise to those of you who supported us along the way, and we acknowledge our shortcomings as highlighted by others. All work on the project has been ceased immediately, with all parties involved agreeing it is for the best. Many thanks to the supporters and those who held us accountable in our faults. Well. This was never going to happen, was it, Lightcast? This was never ever going to happen. You didn't ask for the permission of the studio, the holders of the IP. You didn't have an artist who could actually draw Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa. The whole thing is a disgrace and utterly damaging, not just to you and your channel and your platform, but to the tireless efforts from good fans who fought to release the Snyder Cut and to restore the Snyder Cut and to release the Ayer Cut and to make the Batfleck movie. You have damaged our movement irreparably, and now we have to rebuild it with passion and positivity and having a good relationship with the people who hold the IP. This is common sense. It's done. It's finished. Lightcast are finished. These are a bunch of con artists. It's as simple as that. The end. So now let's talk about Jason Momoa and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Jason Momoa made an Instagram video yesterday celebrating the fact he's about to start filming today. But he said something very, very interesting. He said it was time to dye his hair blonde, and apparently blondes have more fun, so we'll have to wait and see, he said, if that's true. Jason Momoa has always had blonde highlights when he's played Aquaman. But of course, again, the agenda, the propaganda. Aquaman cannot be blonde. We can't make someone blonde just because they're blonde in the comics. Right. Jason Momoa would never betray the character that Zack Snyder, adapted from the comics. We know Jason Momoa and his beard and his long hair. It works for live action Aquaman. But he's always had blonde highlights. That's it. That's all he's getting. But of course, some of you people simply can't help yourselves. He's gonna go blonde. They're gonna put blue eyes in him so he looks like the one from the comics. No. Blonde highlights. This film's gonna be awesome. Your fake propaganda and lies, again, haven't damaged anything. If you want to join some positivity, come here on Movies TV Mad. We will fight for the restoration of the Snyderverse together with a good relationship with the studio and the holders of the IP. Positive, celebrating what we love. At the same time, celebrating and looking forward to these wonderful DC projects in development. If that's what you want, if that's the kind of thing you want, and know like I know that this is a more effective way of fighting for the restoration of the Snyderverse and celebrating for what's coming, then please join me at Movies TV Mad. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back in the next video. See you again soon.